Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. I'm your host, Alex Theuma, CEO founder of SaaStock. Delighted to be joined today, or rejoined, because he's been on the podcast before a few years back, by Nick Franklin, who is the CEO and founder at ChartMogul. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Great to be here again.
Yeah, good to have you on the podcast. I think I want to say, I don't know, last time you were on the podcast, you were in Korea also. You're still in Korea. Tell us, like, why Korea? Why are you there? What's the best thing about it? Also, I'm just curious.
Why am I here? So, I mean, here is sort of family reasons, personal reasons. That's the initial reason for coming here. Family, and my daughter is half Korean and these kind of things, and we thought be a change from Berlin, where we have an office, and now we have an office here in Seoul as well for the last 4 years. This is it. Yeah. I'm sitting here in Gangnam, and Korea. The best thing about Korea, I think, it's very kind of well run from the physical landscape in terms of the infrastructure, the convenience. It's very modern. I mean, if you've ever been to like Singapore, you probably know what I mean. But Singapore is like a city state, so you kind of a modern city state. But Korea is like an entire like a full on country. All the it's just kind of very, very functional. Everything sort of works, and that's a nice kind of change from Europe and the US. It's kind of like the software is good, but the infrastructure is a little bit dysfunctional, that kind of thing. So I think here that's kind of inspiring. Lots of construction, new projects, like they just extended the subway line over there, new stations opened, and it's just kind of like normal. That kind of thing is just kind of normal. So yeah, I quite like Asia for that reason. It's like no matter where you live in Asia, there's usually a lot of construction going on, a lot of new stuff happening, a lot of change, and it just kind of makes it kind of interesting, especially from founders are generally people who like to live in kind of places where that aren't super stagnant. I guess like my hometown is Oxford in England, and it's like nothing changes. You go back there, it's kind of nice to visit my family. Nothing's changed, exactly the same as it was literally when I was a kid growing up in Oxford like 30 years ago. It's exactly the same, but that was fine for the first 18 years. But I definitely like to live. Berlin was also, I mean, for Europe, as Europe goes, Berlin was also fairly dynamic, well, definitely as Germany goes. There's still some construction and big projects happening in Berlin, although just not on the same scale as you find in Asian cities. So that's one big thing I like about Korea. There's lots of other things. The food is great. There's like no crime. Yeah. That's obviously like an exaggeration. Yeah. Everywhere has crime, especially a big city, but there isn't the kind of crime that would affect like me personally, like in terms of like violent or robbery or things like that. It's very, very safe. So it's quite nice. Without I just don't even think about those things living here. Yeah, that's quite nice. So there's a bunch of advantages, and yeah, of course there's always disadvantages to places, but I won't get into those because I don't want to be a foreigner who lives in place and moans about it.
No worries. And then for those that don't know you, Nick, who is Nick Franklin?
Who am I? Yeah. Oh well, in terms of the job.
Well, like you as a person, and yeah, what do you do?
Well, yeah, I think I have a few like hats that I wear, right? I'm a father. I'm I'm an individual who has my own hobbies, like to go to gym and hang out with my friends, go for beer. And then I'm a CEO and founder of a company, right? So there's a few different hats. But yeah, I think for this podcast, mostly interested about the work stuff. So yeah, like I've been working in B2B SaaS for like 14 years. So the first 5 of those years were at Zendesk. Joined very early. Worked 5 years at Zendesk as their head of their EMEA region out of London, and then 3 years nearly as their head of their Asia region out of Manila, where Zendesk has a very large office now, a few hundred people, I think. So I ran that office. I opened that office, created that office for Zendesk. So it's mostly just an international expansion for Zendesk for the first 5 years that I was in SaaS, kind of first in Europe, then in Asia. And then but I always wanted, before Zendesk, I was a product manager, and I always wanted to get back into product because I really like, that's something I'm passionate about is product designing and building good products, trying to find kind of simple solutions to complex problems. So like, well-designed, well-crafted products is kind of something I enjoy. That whole process of, invention and iteration and design and then putting it in front of the user and then getting the users to, tell you that, actually use it and tell you they like it and stuff like that. It's a great kind of feedback. When it works, it's awesome, basically. So I guess sort of I want to get back to that, to building stuff, to making stuff. And also I guess I was sort of ambitious to try and be a founder and see if I can make it work. I tried a couple of times before in the past, but never really went all in, because I could kind of maybe I didn't have full conviction that these ideas were really really it. So yeah, after Zendesk, I quit my job and started this company, ChartMogul, went all in on it, moved to Berlin for about 4.5 years in Berlin. And then I've been here now 4 years. So it's been about 8.5, coming on 9 years running this business, which is ChartMogul. ChartMogul it's a subscription analytics platform for we sell to other B2B SaaS companies and some consumer subscription businesses too. So, companies like Whereby or Typeform, or there's over 1,000 customers. I got to probably remember.
You named 2.9 customers there, 0.9 portfolio companies.
I'll go to our website. I'll pick customers that have definitely given us permission to use their name. It's probably the best. It's usually the best way. Pitch, teamwork, Buffer, Hotjar.
Yeah.
So
these are some good logos. Definitely. And so,
sure. I mean, we've been in business a while.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think you've been in business the same time as a SaaStock, roughly sort of 8 years, right?
Right.
And,
right. And I think we were your very first sponsor at SaaStock and
correct.
these kind of things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Indeed. I think for all SaaStocks until this year so far. But yeah, so but you left Zendesk to create ChartMogul. Like, obviously you love building product, but like, how did you come up with the idea? Like, why did the world need this product?
Well, when I first started it, I thought I was just brainstorming different ideas for what might be useful, and I was thinking maybe something around analytics for customer service, or something for managing sales teams, or I was just trying to think of different ideas. And then I kind of started thinking about revenue, recurring revenue analytics. We measured some stuff internally using a kind of general BI product, and I always found the user experience kind of a little clunky and unempowering, I guess. You couldn't really answer your own questions from the data, and it only updated like once or twice a day. And I thought, well, this seems a little clunky. And I just felt if I make something that was analytics or BI, business intelligence, but that was really tailored for subscription businesses, measuring things like monthly recurring revenue, churn rate, retention, lifetime value, being able to filter that by region, visualize it in different ways and do different things with that data, that we could create a really solid user experience and have it be like real time. So, just a really great user experience and real time. And I just felt there's probably enough subscription on SaaS businesses out there. But this is kind of, you got to think this is like 2013, 2014. So, long time ago now, nearly 10 years. And it wasn't obvious at that time that there would be enough SaaS businesses to build a big business, but I thought there's probably enough to build at least a small business. But luckily what happened is we launched, and then when we launched, the SaaS and subscription business was sort of growing at the same time as we were growing, and Stripe was growing at the same time as we were growing, and so was ChargeBee and Recurly and the whole ecosystem. So I guess we sort of had some good timing in terms of the growth of the industry with our launch date as well. So yeah, that's where the initial kind of thinking.
And fast forward to now, so what data can you share behind the company? So like, can you share any kind of revenue metrics, how much you've raised, like how many people, what do you think is interesting for the audience?
So we're about 73 people now globally. We're profitable, and but a thin margin of profit. We just reinvest everything. We won't show our revenue, but we have well over 1,000 paying customers and another 1,000 active free customers we have a free plan. Basically, if you make less than $10,000 in monthly recurring revenue, ChartMogul is completely free and you can just use it. So we have a lot of companies using that free plan as well. And then, what else? In terms of how much, we only raised some seed money, basically. We raised $3.7 million of seed money. And the last time we raised was about 6 years ago, I believe. In the first sort of 2.5, 3 years, we raised that money from a couple of VCs and a group of angels, about 5 angels. Since then we just decided to get profitable, and we were mostly in Berlin, but we shifted to sort of hybrid remote model about a year before the pandemic, which turned out to be good timing, mostly just luck, really. Yeah.
On the hybrid remote model, then, sort of nice segue into that, because that's kind of like, I think a lot of companies have adopted that, maybe a little bit struggling with that in some ways to really try and make it sort of work. Yeah, what tips have you got, and like what are the challenges, and what are the good things that you see like within your organization for making that work?
I think there's only, I guess the two biggest challenges are if people never see each other in real life because they're so far apart, it's hard to create a kind of camaraderie and some sort of energy where it's like, we can do this, and kind of people when they're all together in a team, they kind of energize each other, right, and motivate each other, and that can be a little bit infectious if you're in that environment. And it's tough to create that environment if people never see each other. They just care less, I guess. It's so about each other, and they're isolated, and it's like, it's easy then to be like, not, maybe, your family's there because you're at home or whatever, and okay, it's like 6 o'clock, let's go spend time with the family, which is the advantages of remote as well. But I think if you did it when you do have everyone in the same room, it does create a certain energy that is hard to maintain the momentum and that energy remotely. You can do it just requires a bit more effort. You got to be pretty like in there in Slack. You got to do more meetings maybe, and you kind of got to kind of push people or kind of get an you can kind of do it, but it's just a bit harder than if you have everyone in the same room, where let's go grab lunch and then get back into this. It's kind of it's a bit different. So I think there's kind of that aspect, and then the other aspect is like time zones, and you can solve for the time zone part by just being disciplined about where you hire people. Like, we don't really do any R&D in North America, but we do have a bunch of people in North America. So we have in Canada, I don't know, 10 to 15 people doing customer success, sales, account management, customer support, things like that. But our R&D is in Europe and in Asia, but mostly in Europe. So we kind of like that, and then the time zones aren't so bad for collaboration, because there's only like, but yeah, it would be hard to work with like people in the East Coast to Korea for doing product development. It wouldn't really work. So I think time zones and distances and kind of, and people get lonely as well, so they kind of want to have it. So yeah, I mean, we do have 3 offices. We have an office here in Seoul, in Berlin, and Toronto. So people live near the office, they can come in, and we kind of, here in Korea, we kind of coordinate and say, let's go to the office, like maybe on Wednesday or whatever.
So you're not full-time in the office. You're doing a little bit work from home, a little bit in the office, yeah.
Twice a week.
Yeah.
Maximum 3 times a week. But yeah, usually around twice a week, come into the office, and we try to time it so, we go in when everyone else goes in, so that we can all have like lunch together and whatever.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You mentioned sort of earlier about the competitors in the space. I think you used the word capitulated or sort of like disappeared a little bit. but yeah, Baremetrics. I think they were sort of like early, in the space. They sold for 4 million in cash. Josh Pigford there. I think he's doing something new at the moment. ProfitWell sold last year for 200 million. So now it's just kind of like ChartMogul is the only really kind of like independent, I guess kind of SaaS metrics platform. Do you feel like the last man standing sort of now? Like, what are your thoughts on the competitors kind of like selling, and how has this benefited you, ChartMogul, in any way within the market?
I don't know how if it's benefited us or not in terms of their exits. I think Baremetrics was clearly in a bit of a tough spot in terms of they were being maybe squeezed at the low end by ProfitWell and Stripe's internal analytics being free, and so they weren't much differentiated from that, and they were charging for that product. And then at the high end, we were very differentiated. With like, I think on our team we have something like 37 engineers. I think Baremetrics today only has like 4 engineers from what we see on their website. So the difference in ability to do R&D and like build out features and functionality compounds at that over many years, and it was just such a distance in terms of functionality. So if you need advanced functionality, then you pay for it, and ChartMogul's there. But we also had a free tier as well. So I think it was just like it was just hard for them to find a place in the market, given the competitive environment they were in. And they hadn't raised lots of money, and so it was hard for them to like counter that, even though it's a nice product. And Josh is not a great guy. So I think that was probably seemed like a sensible move there to sell to Xenon private equity company. And I mean, you can see that their metrics are public, and it hasn't been going so well in terms of the subscriber count is going down, as far as I can see. ProfitWell is a different one. I think this seems to. I mean, ProfitWell were they weren't just competing with us. They had the free analytics part, but they also had a consulting company where I don't know, maybe half or most of the revenues came from. I'm not sure. And so I think that was more strategic for Paddle and Christian and Patrick being friends, and but well-timed acquisition in terms of the price of definitely paid a premium. Although probably a lot of that was stock, which is probably, given the market, has probably reduced in value. But either way, it was a good outcome for them. Yeah. In terms of has it helped us, I don't know. I mean, probably ProfitWell's focus will be more Paddle centric over time, because they're now part of Paddle, which is a larger company that does billing software, or sort of merchant of record type plus billing, like plus billing software. They do quite a lot of stuff, Paddle. So, maybe that will be good for us, because I think there is a Paddle integration with ChartMogul, not the one that we haven't got one, but I think there is one or two out there, third party. But we don't really make any significant revenues from Paddle customers. So, maybe that helps, have less competition in non-Paddle ecosystems. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a big. Our main competitor, honestly, like if we ever lose a real deal, like when I say a real deal, paying $20,000-$30,000 or more, or lose a deal, like lose a paying customer. Yeah. It's never to one of the startup competitors. It's never to Baremetrics or ProfitWell. It's always to the internal data science team. Always. So our main competitor is really like build versus buy. So we have to be like convinced, that it's worth buying a subscription analytics platform and not building this out yourself using a data warehouse, a bunch of scripts, BI front end like Looker or Tableau or something. So that's always for us the real competition, where actually it really, if it is a large deal, that's where what companies are thinking about. Should we use ChartMogul, or should we build this out and maintain internally? So a lot of our feature development has been about, over the last 2 or 3 years, has been about making our product complementary to a traditional data stack versus, is it ChartMogul or the data stack, or is it ChartMogul and the data stack? And we like this is ChartMogul and the data stack. So we have a data science team at ChartMogul. They use Snowflake on the data warehouse side. Well, we have a couple, and then we use like preset dashboarding and segment for a lot of the piping of data, and we use ChartMogul. So we have like all these things kind of work together and do different functions within the company. So I think we're kind of happy with our setup, and we kind of advocate that, if you're, a SaaS business doing sort of like 3 million to sort of 50 million ARR, this is a really good stack for you. And,
Given the competition of being acquired, and I think I read yesterday that there's like 1.3 trillion in dry powder in private equity kind of waiting to be deployed. So I think, M&A market's going to kind of heat up. Like and I'm sure they do come knocking, like 73 people, profitable, maybe 15 to 18 million ARR, something like that. Like, have you got a number kind of like 8 years in? Like, are you long on ChartMogul, or like, if somebody comes in with a 200 million offer, are you going to say yes and go on to the next thing?
I mean, I think one thing that, we just spent the last year and a half building a second product. We didn't actually talk about that yet, but we've also just released in April, like 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, we just released a CRM product. Mm-hmm. So we're now getting into the CRM market. We've started to get our first customers for that. We've also got a free tier. So the first 3 CRM seats are free. And it's the first CRM in the world that's tailor-made for B2B SaaS companies. So we think there's a ton of and it's fully integrated into our subscription analytics platform. So there's a ton of benefits to having the CRM and the subscription analytics platform being in the same system, because then you get the pre-purchase journey. Like, where did they discover you? Like, did they download a white paper? Did they sign up for a free trial? And then, was it when they became qualified, the salesperson creates an opportunity, or maybe they self-served. They went through the free trial process, or they went through a sales cycle, then they purchased. And then we have all the MRR history, expansion revenue over time. Maybe they downgrade, maybe they churn, maybe they add a second product, maybe they reactivate. So we have the entire journey all the way from very, very beginning, all the way through to all the subscription lifecycle stuff that we've been doing for many years. So part of the reason we've really expanded our engineering team, I think it's almost 40 people, is so we can launch and maintain and grow two products at the same time. And we think because we're the only platform out there that has all this data in one single platform, we can actually do a lot of unique stuff. We can already do that. You can do really cool analysis of seeing how your self-service business is comparing to your sales-led business, and there's a whole bunch of reporting you just can't do in another CRM. You just it would be, maybe you could get Salesforce to do this, with a lot of work, a lot of effort, but it would be really hard. Whereas ours is just literally just click on it and it's there, because we have everything in one place. So we think this is going to be really, really interesting for us as a business. It's just the beginning. CRM is a huge market, and B2B SaaS companies, although it's a vertical, we believe it's one of the biggest users of kind of CRM as well. It's a big chunk of the CRM market. So we think that we can create the very best, and we have created the very best CRM in the world for B2B SaaS. and we kind of, we have this existing established presence and product and customer base in subscription analytics, in SaaS measures, and we're going to use that to push into the CRM and do both. And you could be able to, just buy the subscription analytics from us. That's fine. Some people are very happy with Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever, or you can buy both. And if you buy both, you get some kind of synergy there as well. So in terms of, us exiting, it's like, we don't feel like that's something that we're really thinking about. We're still founder-led, me, and we're still excited, and we still have a lot of stuff to build. Like, we've been talking to people that are pretty excited about using our CRM, but they're like, but we also need to have tasks, and we need to have email sequencing, and we need to have batch emailing. We're going to launch tasks in the next couple of weeks, but so we're kind of full throttle there, and we're also full throttle on subscription analytics. There's still a lot to build. So just don't think it's like something where, I think for us an exit would be like, if somehow we're not having fun anymore, there's nothing to innovate on anymore, it's just a question of like, and then it's like, well, if we're not having fun, there isn't more stuff to build. There's no more innovation happening, but that's like the furthest it could be from the truth, from the reality today, because we're innovating at the fastest pace we've ever been going at. Like every single day we release to production, and the list of like PRs that are getting like pushed out is like so long every day, and it's like, so the rate of improvement to the product has accelerated. So I feel like, you never say never. Who knows if you could really get an offer you just couldn't refuse. But I don't feel like we're in that kind of market now at the moment, where people are just throwing around offers that founders can't refuse at this point in time. So I just feel at this point in time, it's just like, focus on building the business and create it into the global company and brand that it has the potential to become. Because we're doing okay, but it's still 73, 74 people. That's still not a big business, So I think we can become more of a mid-market company over time and get into.
So adding the second product, like, it's not necessarily, I don't know, increased your TAM, but your revenue ability, because you're still selling to B2B SaaS companies. The market is, like, in terms of who you can sell to, is kind of the same, but you've got a different product that you can sell to them, right?
Well, doesn't that increase the TAM? Isn't that, it doesn't that, I mean, or is the definition of TAM just the companies?
Well, I guess, the TAM, in terms of the number of companies, but I guess from the revenue ability, there's more opportunity for you.
Right. We can do more. We can do more and provide more to the same companies that we've been serving them.
As you now are a multi-product company, and let's sort of talk about that. Was this something that your customers said that they wanted, or like, how did you identify here the problem? Like, why did you build the CRM in particular? You could have built perhaps, other things, but why the CRM? Like, your customers said they wanted it, you saw the problem. It's good to understand the process there.
So it's a few things. We've had features in ChartMogul for like 6-7 years that look a bit like a CRM already. So you could create different customer lists, right? Lists of customers and select what columns you want, and the sort order and the segments and filters, and save that and share it with your team. And like, open one of the customers in that list, and there's a customer profile with all this information. You can add a note to that customer and just sort of write some information about the customer on there. You couldn't email them. You couldn't log a call. You couldn't add contacts and create opportunities and these kind of things. But you could do a lot of the baseline stuff. You could add custom fields to a customer record and add custom field data. And that all had uses for subscription analytics, like being able to do segmentation and filtering for better, deeper insights from the data. But it also is the very exact same set of features that a CRM has. Because of that, we were naturally using ChartMogul a bit like a CRM, despite also having a CRM as well. our customers were also doing the same thing. There were a lot of them were also kind of adding notes, especially the B2B ones. The B2C not so much, but because we do also service consumer. But the B2B ones were also doing this, and so we always had this idea. Hey, this is a little bit like a CRM. Maybe we could do that, but the timing wasn't right. The timing wasn't right. The team wasn't big enough. We weren't strong enough yet. Going back 2015, 2016. It just wasn't the right timing. I think the core thing for us has been that the timing was right in that to do this, to go into a very, very competitive market and crowded market, we have to reach a certain scale in our niche vertical of subscription analytics and dominate that niche. And we believe we are definitely the market leader in subscription analytics, in terms of the number of paying customers and revenue and all these things. So we wanted to be the market leader in subscription analytics and have enough money, to be able to have the team big enough to comfortably support both, but we're not having to take people off of one thing to support the other. So, and that really meant getting close to 40 full-time engineers, and we have also 5 or 6 product managers as well. So, we had to get that capacity there where we can really make rapid progress in all parts of the platform and for all products at the same time, where nothing's underserved. So that I think was the timing part, and just the whole go-to-market functions and all, just having enough people in order to take on multiple products without it feeling like a distraction to the team, where we can really execute on, So, and it is possible, but I think if you're a small early stage startup, one product is definitely the way to go. But yeah, at some scale, it does make sense to be multi-product. And we did actually try it a long time ago with revenue recognition. It wasn't the right product. We didn't have enough people to support both. It was distraction, and we ended up shutting it down. Mm-hmm. And we learned a lot about trying to be multi-product, and we made the mistake of doing it too early. And then several years passed, and we're like, we think it's actually time again to be multi-product. And it turned out, I think we were right. I'm very confident it's the right decision for the business, and we're having fun.
Is
fun with it as well? Yeah.
That's definitely important. Is there like a benchmark that you see in SaaS would say, like, if you get to this number of, of revenue, X amount of revenue, that you should, look at becoming multi-product? I thought, like, in my head, it's sort of like near like 50 million or something like that, but it could be lower. But
we're not at 50. Yeah. We're not at 50 million. I would tell you that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would be very profitable. But yeah, I think it's more about, does it make sense? Like, do you see an opportunity that's also big enough? Like, do you have enough people and the capacity that it's not a distraction? So I think it's about having a few different things in place there. I don't necessarily think it's. I think it would be different for each company.
How has it been received? How has it been received? And I guess kind of with 2 products, like, how does your marketing change as well? Like, are you doing separate campaigns for the CRM and separate for subscription?
So we're not marketing the CRM much, yet, because we're kind of like, we just in April released version 1.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we kind of like, for the last 3 months, we've only been doing a little bit of adjustments and improvements. And we feel like this is a long-term play. It's not something where, day one, we're going to have something that's competitive with HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever. It's going to take time. So I think probably so when you go to our website, it's still very much ChartMogul is a subscription analytics platform. But in the products drop down, there'll be something about CRM. But we are probably by next year, the CRM will be mature enough, and where we can start to do dual marketing. And on the website, the homepage will be like, we are subscription analytics and CRM, and we'll start to do campaigns and segmented campaigns, things like that. But yes, so far we've still mostly kept the sales and marketing focused on subscription analytics, and also most of the engineering team is still on subscription analytics. It's just maybe there's 6 or 7 people who are on full-time on CRM at any one time out of, but then there's another 30 people that are on subscription analytics, because when you've got an existing product, there's a lot of obviously and existing customers there you've got to obviously maintain and push. So how's it been received? I think overwhelmingly positive. Always there's usually always a couple, you can't please everybody, right? There's always a couple of folks on Twitter or whatever. What are you doing? Why didn't you get into more, accounting or measuring connecting to our bank account and measuring expenses and kind of financial ERP type of stuff. And I realized that, that could have been one direction to go in. It's just we felt after, we explored all the directions we could go, and we thought through this very carefully. And we think this is the right direction to go into, where ChartMogul can really become kind of the commercial center for B2B SaaS company. And that's what we're going to do. But yeah, I would say 99% super positive. People are kind of excited, kind of interested. I've had a lot of conversations with people. People are not happy with their CRMs. Like, that has been the overwhelming learning over the last couple of months, is that people are not happy with their CRMs, and there's a real appetite for something new. And so a lot of it's, some people have already made the jump and started using us, and some people are like, yeah, we love the concept, we love having everything all in one. It makes total sense, but we need X, Y, Z feature that you're missing right now. And we're like, okay, give us 6 months. Let's have a chat again in 6 months. And I think 1 to 2 years, we'll have a really, really compelling offering, even for mid-sized SaaS companies. But it's a long-term project. I think still 99% of the revenue is going to be from subscription analytics for probably through the rest of the year. Let's see. But I think over time, we'll start to see I'm not really focused on revenue with this. We're really focused on usage data. So getting as many people as possible using the CRM, because we have a free tier. So we just want usage. If we can get those dynamics really strong, then the revenue will follow over time. So
cool. Very cool. Well, congrats on launching that second product. I'm going to move into the quickish fire round now, Nick, so just conscious of time. So what one thing has moved the needle the most for you in your career?
In my career, I think starting a business when I had a comfortable job was felt like at the time very risky. And, there was a chance that it wouldn't work out, and that, I would blow through a bunch of my savings, and then I'd have to go back to try and get another job. And, it turned out that, it was the start of a huge tech boom over the last 9 years. So probably getting another job wouldn't have been that hard in the end. But it wasn't that clear in 2014 when I left. It was just going to be like this huge tech boom. So it felt at the time very risky, but I'm glad obviously that I did it and it worked out. So I think taking more risk, and I think getting more comfortable with taking risk. I think one of the riskiest things you can do in life is not take any risks, because if you never take any risks, you end up with maybe you don't fulfill your potential, right?
I agree. Yeah.
What you're capable of. So I think taking risks is super important. Making hard decisions. There's a very common expression. Hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. So if something's not working out, make the change quickly. Be it something. It could be anything. If it's an employee that's not working, or whatever, or team members, this kind of things. It's like no one wants to do the unpleasant thing of having these hard conversations, but sometimes it kind of improves things. So I think learning one big thing is when you start a company, lots of people give you advice, and there's loads of advice on the internet. And so I think over time you get good at learning to sort of just trust your own inner voice, trust your gut, and kind of compartmentalize all the advice and be like, yeah, that's great, fine. And then just take from it what you can versus letting it drive you. And I think a lot of founders, when in the first couple of years, they often experience this where they're not 100% confident. And then there seems to be a lot of people out there that are very confident about how you should run a business and will give you lots of advice. Learning not to listen to it all and just getting on with it and doing things your way is really important. But yeah, it often takes time, I guess, to build that confidence.
Speaking of advice, what's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received. I don't know.
No worries. What about?
I don't have. I'll have to get back to you. I don't have a good one off the top of my head. My dad once told me, when in doubt about where you're going, just try to dress. If you're not sure if you should dress smart or dress casual, always just dress smart. There's no downside. The worst thing that will happen is you'll be the smartest person in the room, and whatever. But if you're like dressed super casual and everyone's smart, anyway, that's just a silly thing. I just remember my dad once.
Good advice. That's good advice. So we'll take that. What's the hardest thing about being a multi-product company?
I don't know. I think it's fun. I don't think it's that hard if you do it well. It's obvious. The first time we tried it, we picked the wrong second product for us. Revenue recognition. It was hard to be productized, and in fact, most rev rec is kind of mostly just kind of custom implementations, custom solutions. It's hard. It's a market. It's a product domain that's hard to fully productize. So whereas CRM, on the other hand, is a proven productizable product domain where you don't, people are willing to just buy an off the shelf solution. So I think it definitely. It's been nice. It's been a bit nice to choose our second product this time around is an existing proven product domain. So subscription analytics, we had to invent a lot of stuff because it wasn't really, there was no existing market of subscription analytics. I mean, that might sound weird, but there wasn't. Like people were doing subscription analytics using Excel. Maybe they were building it custom in their BI tool, etc. But there was Google Analytics. There was some, product like amplitude or KISS metrics, like for product usage analytics. But there was no subscription analytics. So we had to invent a lot of that stuff. And when you have to invent a lot of stuff, you kind of end up, it's hard to know what you should build, and you end up kind of going down the wrong path and having to kind of tweak things, and it's just a bit harder. But if you kind of have a clear roadmap for what you need, like we're going to need an email client built into the customer profile, so you send and receive emails. We're going to need the ability to bulk edit customer records. We're going to need the ability to phone a contact from within the product, so we need VoIP, probably powered by Twilio. So it's just kind of like a roadmap, and you can be very clear early on. So I think it's if you pick an existing product category, CRM, probably makes doing a second product a lot easier. I think if you're going to try and just keep inventing new things, each product you come out with, it's definitely harder. But I guess, Apple do that successfully, sort of. Or well, maybe not, maybe a better version of a phone.
Yeah.
It's not, it's like, but, some of them are fully new inventions. So anyway, sorry.
Well, Nick, we come to the end of the show. Where can people find you online and also find out more about ChartMogul and the new CRM product?
Yes, so chartmogul.com, that's easy, /CRM probably. And online, for me, it's Nick_Franklin is my Twitter handle. So twitter.com/ Nick_Franklin.
Cool. You're more active on Twitter than other social channels?
I am, but I think LinkedIn probably gets better engagement.
Yeah.
But it's just not fun to post on LinkedIn. Yeah. The experience of posting on LinkedIn is like not very pleasant. Yeah. And it's not a joyous, it's not fun to browse the LinkedIn timeline. You just see all this it's very superficial. It's very weird. Yeah. It's very weird that people talk on LinkedIn. Whereas Twitter, it feels more authentic, more real. And that's where I'm most active. But I feel like I should force myself to probably do LinkedIn as well, but I don't. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, Nick Franklin, CEO founder of ChartMogul. Thanks so much for being a great guest on the SaaS Revolution Show today, and look forward to following the success of the new CRM product.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks so much. Nice to chat with you again. Cheers.